Uh, let's sort out the couple of last days out together, okay? First, we had Sunday. How long do you think it takes from Ingolstadt traveling to Munich on a Sunday evening? Approximately 4 p.m. That's right, 4 hours. Not less, not more. 4 hours. Because you gotta consider there are strikes going on, local strikes, regional strikes, general strikes, strikes about strikes. You know, you can never strike enough. And the problem is, how should I put this? The French Revolution sort of was like the go-to manual, display on how you should strike. Eat the rich, you know, or guillotine, stuff like that. Because otherwise, you need to act civilized so we can ignore you better. And yeah, no, but if you act civilized, it will hurt them more. Because violence only creates more violence. Yeah, sure, whatever, buddy. But I'd say, you know, guillotine off with the heads, blah blah. Let's see if change comes around or not. So that's like the first thing that came to my mind, because it's quite funny. I had like the plan where at 4 p.m. I leave, you know, then while I was looking at the sort of bus driving plan, it changed in real time to, oh yeah, sorry, under construction, first stop, under construction, second stop. So I had to improvise in real time, which I really love. Nothing more relaxing than improvising and being stressed about the already stressful journey, but whatsoever. So you have this aspect of real-time path traversing, finding, calculating, whatever. So alternative route. Then finding out how all these stations are numbered. Another thing. Then there was like the local strike, like I mentioned before, and I missed like my train that was already 10 minutes too late. Yeah, it should leave at 4:36 p.m. you know, but on the display it said 4:46, you know, no, 4:33, 36, yeah, 4:36 should leave. 4:44, 4:46 it wanted to leave, and 4:44 it left. So even though it was like, I suppose 15, 30, 45 minutes too late, we decided to stay another 10 minutes, only to break this rule, to leave 2 minutes earlier. And these 10 seconds, you know, we're talking 10 seconds here, you know, I'm not overdoing it here. 10 seconds, man. And in these fucking 10 seconds, I missed the train, so I had to take another train, which was already late or early or whatever, I don't give a fuck. So you had to wait another 45 minutes. Makes sense. Only drive later and slower around. And not just that, by finding out that there was a new construction site. I love new construction sites, you know, nothing better in the world than construction sites. Never finish what you start. Always start something new. Never ever finish something you started. And so we had this shit going on, and by doing like this, quite funny, you know, when you go to Munich main train station, you got like these funny labyrinth. It's like Pac-Man inspired labyrinths, you know. You gotta go from A to B to C to D, and this is what you gotta do in order. It was quite funny. At the first main train station, you know, I went underground, only to find out, yeah, it was delayed or postponed or put into some other place, which was then followed by this very funny, entertaining labyrinth that I had to conquer, you know. It's all about games, these funny little games, and, you know, you're always ready to play. What do you mean you're not in the mood to play? But we built the puzzle for you. How can you not be ready in the mood to play? So you have also this. And then, yeah, I missed the next train by 10 seconds again, you know. And at this point, it becomes a pattern, you know. And then I took like one big train, So I had to walk like only 90 minutes because this is the thing about feet. Look at him. Look at him. I start, I finish. I go, I do a step. Start, finish, and go. One step, one step, one step, one step. Look at the timing, you know. It might be not like a atomic clock, you know. There might be timing delay, clocking issues. But at this point, we're approximating a point, you know. You gotta realize it took 4 hours for me from A to B. We're heading into this direction where how should I put this? If we are approaching the 12-hour mark, I think it's safe to say that you're faster and somewhat better on the run, on the way, if you just walk by foot from Ingolstadt to Munich, you know. But it's insane. The distance is insane, blah blah blah. But yeah, sure. But look at the exact timings, you know. We have like very in sync. This is insane, you know. It's like almost like a car, or like a bicycle, you know. A bicycle and foot are quite sufficient and quite trustworthy, you know, while trains and cars are more of a gamble, you know. And if you're into gambling and you need to feed your gambling addiction, sure, go ahead, man. But yeah, if we ever, and I feel like we are approaching this 12-hour mark, if we reach this 12 or 13-hour mark, so you get two possibilities. Yeah, sure, it's warm, it's comfy, and it's cozy, but you're sitting on your fat ass, increasing the risk of a stroke, like being paralyzed for the rest of your life, just because you couldn't get off your lard ass. And what kind of way would you rather prefer? Like maybe, sure, it might rain. This is a real downside, but with the right equipment, you know, walking by foot, you're better, you know, you did your sports stuff, you started and you finished. No waiting time. You define your waiting time. You define the pause, you know. This is not a slave position, this is a master position, you know. Active or inactive, you know, primary, secondary, and this has some value. I think people underestimate this, especially when, also like me, have become somewhat addicted to this dictatorship of late trains and late buses and late everything all the time, you know. And it's an abusive relationship. You can look at it at any way you want, but it's an abusive relationship. My time has value, and if you make these somewhat shitty guesses, you know, and promises which hold no value at all, I think you should get stuffed. And there's nothing else about this. So we have all about this getting late and all that, you know. Then we have the other aspect about I don't know, man, just shitty service. So get stuffed Deutsche Bahn and get stuffed INVG, especially INVG, because the app in general has been down for a couple of days, and here's what I've done. Nothing, not even a warning sign, not even a maintenance warning, you know. This is and if I talk with ChatGPT about this, it's quite interesting. Also, like the same thing applies like the Dot app, you know. Used to be Tier and now it's Dot. When it was Tier, the older company, the code was more modern, everything worked apparently, allegedly. But the moment they got bought up, things went down south very quick. Legacy code and shitty support. You know, we're talking like 50 mails, 50, and like 2 months, and they're still blaming me, you know. It is my issue. And they're nice source governor. Can you back that? Nice. Can you back that up with a source governor? My sources, I made it the fuck up, you know. And this is what it's all about in life. If you have a source which you made up, and you recite your source and said, you know, that's all. This is like basically the principle of having big balls. You just make some stupid, retarded shit up, and then you follow those guidelines until you die. And you say, Yeah, but my source, my inside source, you know, I got this very special, trustworthy source. My own thoughts, my own feedback loop said it's got to be this way. And if you combine this with a perfect sprinkling of delusions, you're good to go, man. You are good to go. Go out there and be successful. Because why not? Why the fuck not? And when you do this, I think you'll see progress, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. And yeah, now there was some funny thing about some person looking for a flat, and I thought like, let's do the wholesome social thing. I kind of offered my help, not with a flat directly, but I said, if you're interested, I can show you how you can find this stuff online. And the person neglected. And it's quite funny. When you are in a dire situation, you always need to, how should I put this? Value. Can you like say, yeah, I don't need the internet. If you say you're looking for a flat in Munich and you say, I don't need the internet. I mean, are you really looking for a flat? I gotta be honest here, you know. When you are in dire straits, if you are cornered and your options are narrowing by the second, you are not the one to choose to say, nah, I'd rather not. You know, these new internet majingle thingle things, I don't need them, you know. I think the internet is bad and crazy. And yeah, sure, you can live in this delusion, but don't you dare like speak up saying, I tried really everything, man, you know. I didn't get the result that I wanted, because this is also me nagging and bitching like always, but I literally offered free help and you declined it. And the funny thing about this also is it sounds quite scammy. Think about this. We, as human mankind, we've come so far. Even if you help generously, free help, you know, it gets declared or detected as spam or scam or some sort of, you know, ripping someone off, maybe organ trading, human trafficking, you know, sexploitation, all this crazy shit, man. And we as humankind, we have brought it so far, you know. We can really be proud of ourselves, because paranoia rules night and day in various forms. One of them is like not being aware of your options. And yeah, that's quite funny from this kind of aspect. Then we got the other guy at where I am right now, who's like a little bit bitchy, but it's a different subject. Overall, I'm quite happy, just sitting it out, just biding my time, and sooner or later I might even have the option to speak up my mind, you know, growing some sort of back, not slithering around like a fucking snake, because having a little bit of backbone, throwing skin in the game, is also quite nice. And not just that, I have illusions of grandeur, you know, and there are two paths. I can stay humble and afraid and feel like the world is going down, like I've seen in many people over the years. Also feeding into the delusion like, yeah, maybe I get paid badly, but I also waste a lot of time in my work. And you know who's telling me all this? The person who had the chance for like 30, 40, 50 years maybe to get a fucking job that the person enjoys like 1 or 2% more, while earning 1 or 2% more, you know. But just because you didn't speak up, man, you're suffering. And you try to roll it all out, you know. This is just transmitting all your suffering. And I'm a naysayer, saying like, I'm the personal limit man. But the person, you know, this is like a repetitive loop. It's some sort of mantra at this point, like the person being proud of, haha, I'm wasting the boss's time. I don't fucking care, man. You know, in China, a sack of rice falls over. You know, so now what? Instead of like, yeah, I'm just wasting my employer's time, you know, and telling everyone about it and thinking about work like 24/7. This is fucking sick and obsessive and not healthy. And I see this on a regular basis. If the only thing you have to define yourself is your fucking job, it's kind of sad and pathetic, man. Think outside the box. The main goal is to get so good at your shit that you don't need a job and that you can avoid a job, that you can make a job if you want to, but still can avoid it and whatnot, you know? Being, how should I say, autocratic. You know, not just this dependent fuck. I'm also in this kind of state, you know? Don't get me wrong. But quite sad if you think about, like, yeah, Jesus Christ, man. It's just shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, man. It's so fucking annoying. And I don't want to hear it anymore. I want to get your life together or shut up. You know? These are the two options. Nothing else. I don't know, maybe it's too hard to grasp as a concept as a whole. Maybe it is a very complex subject. But yeah. No, it really isn't. I'm being sarcastic right now. Get your stick together, or otherwise, you know, when you're calling and you get in your repetitive mantra loop, still it's also a monologue, and you don't let me talk to you in any way. It's more like, you know, like JavaScript stopped responding, like another friend of mine I used to know. If you're like in this yappity yap mode, I don't care, man. I put the smartphone very, very quietly, yeah, and then you do your yappity yap thing, and I'm sort of trained to when I pick up, oh, okay, now I think I should be hanging up, but I wish you a good evening and bye bye. And I say, yeah, totally, man, yeah, to you too, bye bye and good night, you know. In the meantime, I did my shit. Yeah. I think people are not aware that, like, time progresses, you know, and this is like the one thing that you sort of have somewhat in your hands, depending on which country, or which quality of life you're experiencing, which kind of diseases you have, your age group, the knowledge and background you brought to the table. Luckily, I was able to, like, get in touch with a PC. But people out there who don't, they understand the aspect. Not everyone is hyped into PC stuff, but you should know your way around, you know. And if you're always codependent, it's quite funny, it's quite ironic. The person using ChatGPT on a constant basis says, like, you should be your own kind of thing, you know, your own domain controller, while being totally dependent, on this external resource. But if you look at it, humans break easily, and they need a lot of external factors, you know, just linking information together or applying it. And only after this will a successful sequence, row, you know, streak, then you might evolve into a higher living standard somewhere else, or save up for bad times. Otherwise, fuck you, you know. I mean, it's just sad. In general, the external factors, the play rules, are shitty, but also how the humans act upon it. It's another different subject. The only thing that kind of really matters is, like, begging, you know, for me, street performance. It's the only thing that matters. And yeah, maybe, hopefully, someday performing. Next thing would be, like, my own company. But other than that, there's this, like, dead end, you know. Don't expect much more if you don't do anything else. How could you expect something different if you didn't change anything, bring any different thing to the table, you know? And the problem is also human nature with its routine and whatnot. But yeah, I think that's enough Yappuccino for one day. Oh yeah, by the way, classmates were writing some stuff, like some old stuff for whatever reason. And yeah, I don't know, man. Would be nice if my class was like a real class, not a fake class, but it's a super fake class. So fuck y'all in regards to this, because no one ever writes properly back. And don't forget, I see what's unseen. I'm above the law. No, just kidding. Just talking trash. So till the next time. Bye bye.